From a bar fight that turned Homelander into a real-life headline, to a debate over representation that divided an entire fandom. Starting with number 9, Antony Starr. In March 2022, Antony Starr was arrested in Spain after getting into a bar fight with a 21-year-old chef named Bethuel Araujo. Reports said Starr had been drinking. During the fight, he allegedly punched the man twice, and at some point, a glass was thrown. The chef ended up needing 4 stitches above his eye. A Spanish court later gave him a 12-month suspended sentence and a fine of about $5,400. Since he didn't have a prior record, he avoided jail, but it was still a bad look. Variety ran the headline within 48 hours. Reddit exploded with Homelander IRL memes. Twitter users joked that method acting had gone too far. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Starr plays a sociopathic superhero who believes he's above the law and then gets arrested for violent behavior in a foreign country. The parallels wrote themselves. In an August 2025 interview during Season 5 Wrap coverage, Starr reflected on how fans empathize with Homelander despite him being a monster. He didn't directly address the arrest, but the subtext was impossible to ignore. The incident didn't end his career. The boys kept him on the show and fans kept watching. But it did make the connection between him and the character feel a little too real for some people. Number 8, Erin Moriarty. On January 17th, 2024, Megyn Kelly used her podcast to dissect Erin Moriarty's face. She pulled up before and after photos and claimed plastic surgery had completely changed her face. Moriarty responded 10 days later with an Instagram post that didn't hold back. She said the harassment had horrified her, that it had broken my heart, and that she felt dehumanized, silenced, and paralyzed by the body-shaming campaign Kelly had amplified. She explained that the before photo was almost 10 years old, not about a year ago like Kelly claimed, and that the after shot was professionally contoured makeup under stage lighting. Then she told her followers she was deactivating her account and stepped away from social media. The backlash against Kelly was immediate. #IStandWithStarlight trended from the 2022 fan essay. Showrunner Eric Kripke tweeted at trolls, "Eat a bag of dicks, off to the sun, and don't watch The Boys. We don't want you." Cast members like Jack Quaid and Chase Crawford left supportive comments on her posts. But this wasn't Moriarty's first time dealing with something like this. Back in September 2022, she'd posted about the relentless misogynistic trolling she faced just for playing Starlight, saying the comments were so body-obsessed they felt dehumanizing. The Kelly incident wasn't an isolated attack. It was the loudest, most public wave of harassment she'd faced in years. And the fact that a former news anchor was leading the charge made it worse. Moriarty returned to Instagram in early February, but the damage was done. The controversy exposed how quickly female actors get reduced to their appearance, no matter how compelling their performances are. Number 7, Chase Crawford. On June 3rd, 2010, Chase Crawford was pulled over outside a pub in Texas. When police searched his car, they found an unlit marijuana joint, less than 2 ounces, which meant the charge was a misdemeanor. At the time, he was right in the middle of the Gossip Girl era, playing Nate Archibald, the Upper East Side's golden boy. So the arrest got some attention. Outlets like the Los Angeles Times and CBS ran the story, but it didn't turn into a big scandal. Crawford entered a pretrial diversion program, did community service and probation, and by September 2011, the charge was dismissed and his record was cleared. For years, that was basically the end of it. Years later, the arrest started making the rounds online again, but not because of the weed. In August 2019, a promotional calendar image for The Boys went viral. Chase Crawford was in costume as the Deep, wearing the character's skin-tight suit, and fans quickly noticed what looked like a massive bulge that broke the internet. Fans flooded Twitter with shocked reactions, thirst posts, and memes. Crawford later explained that the suit actually included a prosthetic. He said Amazon freaked out, and that showrunner Eric Kripke told him the first note from the studio was basically that it had to go. In some shots, they even used CGI to tone it down. Number 6, Aya Cash. Aya Cash plays Stormfront, a white supremacist Nazi soupe who uses explicit racist language and imagery throughout season 2. Because the character is designed to be openly hateful, some fans couldn't separate the actress from the role. Cash received hostile, racially charged comments online and eventually stepped back from fan conversations while the season aired. She later told Radio Times that delivering Stormfront's racist dialogue felt uncomfortable, but that the language was used in service to a bigger conversation about real-world extremism, not to glorify it. Reddit threads on The Boys defended her with posts like "Don't insult or blame Aya" for playing a Nazi, racking up over thousands of upvotes. But the damage was done. The performance was so intense that it bled into her real life. This wasn't a case of an actor saying something controversial. It was a case of fans refusing to understand that playing a monster doesn't make you one. The Boys is built on uncomfortable satire. Stormfront is supposed to make you sick, that's the point. But when the performance is that convincing, some people can't handle the cognitive dissonance. Cash did her job too well, and she paid for it. Number 5, Jack Quaid. On September 27th, 2020, Jack Quaid posted a blunt tweet, "F Donald Trump." It was during a COVID PSA backlash, and it went viral fast. Not just because of the message, but because Jack's father, Dennis Quaid, is famously pro-Trump, so the contrast immediately became part of the story. People on Twitter had plenty to say, and people accusing him of doing the typical Hollywood activism. But the real explosion came in season 4, episode 6, when Huey is sexually assaulted multiple times in a single episode. Once by Ashley and Tech Knight in a parody Batcave, later by a shapeshifter posing as Annie. The episode used dark comedy, but many viewers didn't find it funny. Articles and Reddit threads called out the show for treating male sexual assault as a joke. In an October 2025 interview, showrunner Eric Kripke described Huey's story as a kind of coming-of-age arc that forced the character through a gauntlet of challenges in order to become who he is meant to be. And while he acknowledged some parts of that journey were intense, he said he still stood by the decision. Fans weren't convinced, and the controversy stuck with Huey's entire season 4 storyline. What was meant to be his darkest chapter became the show's most divisive moment. Number 4, Jensen Ackles. During season 3 filming in early 2022, Jensen Ackles was presented with a scene that made him uncomfortable. He said, "As a father, son, husband, and self-respecting human, I can't do this. I know where my line is." Showrunner Eric Kripke later told Entertainment Weekly that they reached a compromise, allowing the story to move forward while respecting Ackles' boundaries. Kripke said he was able to get what he needed for the scene without crossing Ackles' personal limits. Neither Ackles nor Kripke has publicly detailed what the original scene involved. Discussions about the scene on Reddit and YouTube exist, but specifics like view counts or interpretations are fan speculation and not verified by news sources. Number 3, Karl Urban. In June 2014, Karl Urban and his wife Natalie Vihongi announced they were divorcing after 12 years of marriage. They released a joint statement emphasizing their commitment to co-parenting their 2 kids and minimizing disruption to their lives. It was low-key, there wasn't a public scandal or a media circus, just 2 people ending a marriage quietly. Later, Karl Urban briefly dated Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica. That relationship reportedly ended around 2018, also without much press coverage. This barely counts as a controversy, but Urban's personal life drew attention during his Star Trek and Dread years, when fans kept speculating about what might have happened. In reality, it was much simpler. Sometimes marriages end, and sometimes they end respectfully. Urban moved on, kept working, and kept his kids out of the spotlight. His private life stayed private, which in Hollywood is pretty unusual. Number 2, Dominique McElligott. Queen Maeve's bisexual storyline was introduced in season 1 and became a focal point by seasons 2 and 3. It should have been a win for representation, a morally complex bisexual superhero on a mainstream show. But fans quickly started arguing. Some celebrated the visibility, while others criticized the show for leaning on tired tropes, fridging queer women and turning Maeve's sexuality into another source of trauma. Debates over Maeve's arc quickly spread across Reddit and Rotten Tomatoes, with fans arguing over whether the show was empowering her or just exploiting her sexuality. McElligott mostly stayed quiet, and the conversation often felt bigger than the character herself. Her storyline became a lens for how The Boys treats identity and representation. The show wants credit for representation, but it also wants to torture its characters for dramatic effect. And when those 2 goals collide, someone always gets hurt. Number 1, Nathan Mitchell. Black Noir's identity reveal in season 3 shocked the fandom. Unlike the comics, where he's Homelander's clone, the show made him his own character with a tragic backstory and a different role in the story. Some fans appreciated the extra depth, while others missed the comic twist and questioned whether the change was more about diversity than storytelling. People argued over the creative choices and whether the show respected the source material. Mitchell hasn't commented, and the show clearly isn't waiting for anyone's approval. Noir's story moved forward on its own.